What's up? Hello, everybody. How's it going? Welcome to the live stream for the week. Got lots of feedback. Let me know where you guys are watching from, and let me know what you want to know about. But today, if you are somebody who is sitting as a leader, manager, you've got a group of people, you've got a rally, you're a coordinator of a team, you've got people all over the place, different locations, different, interstate, international, or in different locations, working from home. If you're sitting as somebody who's responsible for an integrated risk management system, whether you're the CEO like me, whether you're a national systems manager looking after a national team, you're a key influencer, somebody who's got to influence different parts of the business, where you might not have executive authority, but you've got to work from an influence perspective and manage up, manage across, and manage your team. This session is for you. I want to specifically focus on the concept of integrated risk management today, and using your integrated risk management system to pull ourselves out of this COVID-19 crisis. So it can be done. And I'm going to go back to a couple of first management principles and 101 principles today to help you guys with this. So we're just getting a little bit of the technology organized. I've asked the contractors who are doing the office fit out next door to cool it for 45 minutes so we can have some quiet time for you guys and get something going. So let me just get rid of this, because that's from the previous session. I've got a couple of principles. So let me know where you're watching from. Comments, we're live on LinkedIn and we are live on YouTube, and Luke's giving me a dashboard there. So he's going to give me those comments. Hit that like button for me so that I can see that you guys are watching. So you're the 16, 17, 18, I can see 20 people there on YouTube, and I can see a bunch of people there on LinkedIn. So hit that like button for me so I can see you guys are paying attention and everything's working for you. And comment for me. Let me know where you're watching from. So, hey, Helen, great to have you back. Hey, Claire, great to have you back there on YouTube. And Luke is just trying to figure out how to drive the dashboard for LinkedIn. So let me know, Melbourne. Welcome from you guys down in Melbourne there on YouTube. And anyone watching on LinkedIn, just let me know where you're watching from. Now, the commenting there, so that's the commenting. So there's commenting on LinkedIn and commenting on YouTube. Hey, David from Bendigo, welcome. So the comments there, that's the place for you. I can see them, the lag, see there, the place to ask questions. So what I wanted to do today was just go back through integrated risk management. How can we use our business management system as a valuable asset? We've put all of this effort into this system. We've been working on it. We've got a little bit of sunk cost there. How do we get a return on our investment? And I want to talk about what I'm doing in terms of using my management system in my organization, what I have been doing over the last couple of weeks to give you guys some guidance and advice. Hey, Andrew, good to have you on board. And hey, Magdalene there from Sydney. So a couple of people from Sydney there on LinkedIn, welcome aboard. So I just want to talk about integrated risk management. We can talk about the flow, a couple of 101 principles that I'll go through with you guys this morning to just as reminders, and it's a bit of a reset. And, my goal for this session is for it to be a little bit insightful. So I guess we want to come at this as a lens. We're integral as part of a team. We've got different people we need to influence. We've still got to help the business achieve a couple of goals. Goal number one is we want to use the business management system to help the business to achieve its goals. Now, a lot of the strategic plans that I was involved in over the last 6 months, facilitating workshops, helping your organizations develop strategic plans, most of those strategic plans, went completely out the window. I think I'm pretty good at, seeing around the corner. I knew there was an economic collapse coming, but I didn't see that it was going to get triggered by this COVID crisis. It came out of nowhere, but I do know that we were set to have a retracement. The S&P 500 on Wall Street has been absolutely cranking, and every single indicator was saying that we were going to have a pullback, and we've had the pullback. It's just that COVID-19 and the coronavirus were the trigger for that. So anyway, moving forward, I think it's really important. I've been saying this in the last couple of live streams. Please don't have an expectation that it's going to be like a bounce back to exactly the same level, that we just went through a pothole and we continued on. If you hit a pothole hard enough with your car, you'll pop a tire, you'll break an axle, you'll crack a rim, and you won't be able to continue along. There will be damage. And there's been collateral damage already. We've had collateral damage, the Australian working population statistics through the first couple of months of the coronavirus pandemic and the shutdown of the Australian economy, we had 20% less hours worked. That's going to have a knock-on effect. So the goal of this presentation is to give you guys some guidance on, okay, understanding that we're not going to bounce back, understanding we're going to have this sort of slow uptake, the unemployment, as an example, unemployment goes up in the elevator, comes down via the stairs. Unemployment goes up very quickly. Using as an indicator in terms of recovery, the recovery is going to be a slow and steady recovery as we grind out of it. So I want you to have a slow and steady approach to our risk management strategy and our integrated risk management strategy. So back to the goals. The goal is, obviously, the first goal of the business management system is help the business to achieve its strategic outcomes. Those are going to be most likely at the top, the financial health of the business. We want to get sales and revenue back on track. We want to get profitability back on track. We want to get our organization back on track and be organized. Then we can start focusing on the impact and the legacy that we want to have. So when I present this to you guys today, I'm thinking about, I'm not prioritizing sales and profit, but I'm saying we need to manage our risks in workplace health and safety, in sustainability, in cybersecurity, in culture, in industrial relations, so that they don't prevent sales and they don't prevent loss of profits. So that's part of this exercise in terms of the integrated risk approach. So the goal of this session is to help you guys through some of the tips and tricks and techniques that are going to help us use that business management system and an approach of risk-based thinking and integrated risk management to actually figure out what do we do. Okay, so starting with 12 weeks. What is the date? Quickly comment, so give me some help. What's the date? And if you're watching this after the recording, tell me the date 12 weeks from the time you watch this recording. If you're coming back to watch this recording and it's not during the live event, let me know the date 12 weeks from now. So I'm just going to quickly have a look at my calendar. So I'm recording this on the 3rd of June. We're going to have the 3rd of July, 3rd of August. So 1, 2, 3, 3rd of September. So for the rest of this presentation, I want you, when I make suggestions and I'm giving you tips and tricks, we are just focusing on the next 12 weeks. It's a quarter. It's obviously June. The American financial year, the US financial year for you guys watching from the Northern Hemisphere, it's Q1. It's Q3. And then for us here in Australia, it's the start of Q1. So we just want to think about this quarter. Good, strong, sustainable businesses work in quarters. So the management review process that is talked about in all of the international standards that we talk about here at Best Practice and in business management systems, management review quarterly. So ideally, in a perfect world, we had our management review at the end of last month, at the end of May. Q1 is going to start July. I apologize. I'm ahead of myself. So ideally, that's even better. So in thinking about 3rd of June, 3rd of July, 3rd of August, 3rd of September, management review in the next 2 weeks. Management review with a view to, in thinking about the next quarter, what does success look like? What are the very specific business goals from key leaders in the business for the next 12 weeks? Just the next 12 weeks. Don't think the next 12 months. Don't think too far out in advance. We want a really dynamic business management system that's going to just help us get through July, August, and September. And we want to be thinking like that. So the first thing is we want to be thinking about our management review, because that is when we can get together and we can start to talk about, well, what might be some of the risks, the issues, the things that are going to come up. So goal number 1 is really to have a look at management review. Welcome, Stan. Welcome to the guys watching from Sydney. A couple of people there from over in the US. Welcome. Obviously, lots of people from Australia. Hit that like button for me on either YouTube or on LinkedIn, wherever you're watching, to let me know that you're live with us and you can hear everything and everything's working. If you're not connected with me on LinkedIn and you're watching on YouTube, jump across on LinkedIn and you can comment directly if you can't comment on YouTube. Hey, Carl, good to have you on board. Management review quarterly. Now, I know Lots of people talk about doing management review annually or 6 monthly, and you've got that written into your management systems. To have good quality strategic management, my strong recommendation is that happens quarterly. And for the following reasons. If you stuff it up and the meeting doesn't go very well, you get 3 more chances inside a year. If you stuff up management review and you're just doing it for going through the motions and ticking boxes, it's kind of pointless, and you're not going to get any, return on an investment of time and effort and energy and resources and preparation. You won't get any return on investment doing it 6 monthly or annually. It is the review of how the business is going against the business plan. And I know it's difficult sometimes. I know there's some of you out there that struggle to bridge that gap from what you would call the business management system across into the executive strategic view of the business. I get that. I know that there are some people watching today. I know that 2 people in the audience today who produce reports for the board or the executive team, not at that executive level, for the larger organization. I know that's the case. So this is about producing that on a quarterly basis and sitting and just looking at those 90-day sprints or those quarterly sprints. So in terms of thinking about the integrated risk management system, I just want to go back to the first principles of risk management. I'll just quickly do that for you guys, which is identify, assess, if you like, prioritize, control, and monitor. Now, if that was a flow chart, if you like, they're the steps of the flow chart, and we move through those steps, and then we can go back to identify. So you can do this, obviously out with workplace health and safety. We do this lots and lots on a week-by-week, day-by-day basis, but from a business plan perspective, quarterly. So we've got these 12-week sprints or quarterlies that we're having a discussion, we're assessing it. The assessment is with the goal to prioritize, control, and monitor. Assessment links to control. Are we trying to control the likelihood or the frequency of something happening or the consequences? So, and you can start to think about how intense you're going to get with the use of the hierarchy of control. So we've got that hierarchy of control. Can we eliminate, substitute? Can we write policy or procedure about that stuff? You can apply the hierarchy of control to any type of business risk. You can apply the hierarchy of control to any type of business risk. So if you want to have a conversation with that, I can explain it further. Just reach out to me with a direct message on LinkedIn or ask a question here. I can explain how you use the hierarchy of control for customers, how you use it for finance, how you use it for safety, how you use it for cybersecurity. But elimination of the risk versus writing policy about the risk, you can see how that aligns. So I want you to think about that, but identify, assess, prioritize, control, and monitor. And monitor is obviously, are we preventing those things happening, or are we putting controls in place to make sure things happen? So when we start talking about, in thinking about the next 12 weeks, what does success look like? We can put controls in place to make sure things happen. We can put reporting structures in place. We can put training in place. We can put, communications in place. We can put people in place to make sure tasks happen, that, that the business development manager makes the cold calls, that the marketing team does the social media posting, that the operations team book the work, that the doing people do the doing, that the service people do the servicing. So, we put those controls in place. So integrated risk management is as much about putting controls in place to make sure things happen as it is about putting controls in place to stop things happening. So back to management review, asking the question and saying, in thinking about the next 12 weeks, what does success look like? In thinking about the next 12 weeks, what could go wrong? And this is just between now and the 3rd of September. That's it. I just want you thinking, because this is the COVID-19 crisis. We're doing recovery. I know there's a bunch of you guys out there with quite senior positions. I can see you in the audience right now who you've been working from home, but the one-on-one interaction that happens as you're trying to influence people and manage through the business becomes quite difficult, because you've got to book and plan a Zoom meeting. Yes, executives have a little bit more time because we're not getting caught up in the at-the-door conversations. So, that is going to help you. You can have a bit more strategic one-on-one sessions with key people you need to influence in the business, and you may find you can leverage that to be a little bit more successful in your outcomes. but also you haven't got that sort of dynamic cultural nature going on and that cultural momentum that builds. And so we've got to start thinking about that. So we need to do a little bit of engineering around what we want to focus on. Okay, so hopefully if there's any questions on any of this stuff, please comment on LinkedIn or comment on YouTube. Just type in the question there. If you're not comfortable asking the question, hey, Betty from Brisbane, thanks for joining us. If you're not comfortable asking the question in the public forum, send me a direct message on LinkedIn, or if you have my cell number, you can text me. Luke is monitoring the dashboard there, and I can cover your question anonymously for you if you wish. Okay, so just back to first principles about the risk, the generic risk flow. So as we ask the question, we've got those three questions. In thinking about the next 12 weeks, what does success look like? So by the 3rd of September, what does success look like? What are the things we want to knock off and achieve? By the 3rd of September, what could go wrong? And so the other question is, what was the last 3 months? Let me just have a quick look at the calendar. So we had May, 1, 2, 3. So between the 3rd of March and now, what went wrong? So since the 3rd of March, what went wrong in your organization? Could that potentially happen again in the next 12 weeks? So things that happened in the last 12 weeks, even things that happened in the last 6 months, could any of those things come up again? So we'll get on to the fourth question in terms of, and what are we doing about that? But there's a couple of other sort of comments that I wanted to talk about. I've got a bit of a note here. The key takeaways are 12 weeks. That's one point. The other point I wanted to talk about in terms of, in thinking about what's going on is the SWOT analysis. So we're thinking about, from a SWOT, financial. What are our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? I know for a lot of the organizations, if your revenue is down in your organization, you're aware of that. You might not be responsible for it, but if you're aware of your revenue is down, your profits could be down. And if the organization has continued to survive, you are starting to eat into your balance sheets. And it's the balance sheet that is keeping you afloat. Now, for Australian companies, there's a little bit of financial assistance with the JobKeeper package and the government stimulus packages. They are sort of offsetting, there's a little bit of cash flow that's keeping businesses alive. But the revenue you guys are doing right now, particularly now for the next 12 weeks, the initial crisis is out of our way. That's in our past. Your revenue must be profitable today. Because if it's not profitable revenue and the business isn't breaking even or making a very marginal profit this month of June and then in July, you'll be starting to eat into your balance sheet. So it's very important from an integrated risk management perspective that you get some visibility or communications opening up with those key people so you can monitor that, so that can help inform what you're going to do about safety and environment and marketing and customer communications and cybersecurity and all those other, and industrial relations, all those other risks that are part of a totally integrated risk management system. So financial, we want to talk about industrial relations. Particularly now with organizations that have had to offboard staff, culture is a key point right now in terms of getting momentum going again with people and getting people culturally engaged. Still a lot of organizations in war room mode, not quite sure of their future, but now is the time to start to engineer your future, take control of your future, take control of sales, take control of revenue, because that is what is going to help your organizations grow into the future. Even if you're a not-for-profit, you've got to get control of your sources of income. So when I talk about this, a key part of an integrated management system is to pay attention to that. Hello from Jose, welcome back, Western Australia there. So thanks for letting me know where you guys are watching from. So industrial relations, customers and the customer experience. And that's your quality system, if you like, for those of you that are following us on our other content. OH&S, so occupational health and safety. I know here in Australia we call it WHS, but unfortunately Australia is off on a tangent. It's well known globally as occupational health and safety still. Let's just stick to that so everyone knows what we're talking about. Sustainability. For those of you that aren't aware, it's World Environment Day is coming up this week. So that might be an opportunity just to shift up the communications in the organisation and do something for World Environment Day this week. Just change the lens away from the COVID crisis and the global chaos. It is really sad what's happening with the riots globally, and it's sad that property is being damaged. But it's very important that we solve this racial disconnect. It's very, very saddening to me that people are losing their lives. And that's my comment on that today. And that is going to affect some people and the culture of your organization. I get it's disappointing that property damaging is happening, but the deaths in custody have to stop. That it's just unacceptable in terms of the brutality that we're seeing. Now, I know the media over sensationalize it and elicit an emotional response, but it still is an issue that needs to be addressed. One of the statistics here in Australia is that 30% of people in custody are of an Indigenous heritage, yet they only make up 4% of the Australian population. So it's disproportionate in terms of what's happening here in Australia from a statistical perspective. So, but from an industrial relations and a sustainability perspective and corporate citizenship perspective, taking a position right now is important. So we can say our corporate citizenship. Our cybersecurity, so our integrated management system is talking about all those sorts of things. It's not just the traditional quality, safety environment. We've got to think about financial, industrial relations, customer experience, occupational health and safety, sustainability, corporate citizenship, cybersecurity. If you have figured out how to do a screenshot, now's a good time to do a screenshot of on your mobile device or on your desktop. Do a screenshot of the notes here that I'm covering. Make a note of the timestamp. You can come back to this. It's being recorded. It'll be available on my LinkedIn profile indefinitely and available on the Best Practice TV on YouTube channel. Give it 15, 20 minutes to buffer. Once we finish the recording, it'll be there available for you guys. So the SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, financial, industrial relations, customer experience. Have a think about these things. What is the position? What's the opportunity? What's the goal? What does success look like? What could go wrong? What went wrong in the next 12 weeks and the last 12 weeks? Communication. I just want to talk about that. With regards to this crisis and because the normal forms of corporate communication have been absolutely disrupted and put in the trash, communication and thinking about what your communications are, corporate communications are, and system communications are now more than ever is thinking about effectiveness. And my word that I've been talking about with you guys over the years is digestion. In terms of, a lot of organizations, you go to sort of this policy, signs, written documents, they're not necessarily easily digestible. And so as we think about your organization, I want you to think about what does integrated risk management and a modern business management system look like in 2025, not today in 2020. I don't want you to have a 1990s, fluoro business management system, that is like the Dirty Dancing movie. I want you guys to have the 2025 version of a management system that uses social media and dynamic activity like what I'm doing for you guys right now to communicate in an easily digestible way that has maximum effectiveness. And so what we've been doing here at Best Practice is having everybody in the business get an opportunity to run the meetings and run the communication. And I've been speaking for the last 6 months about this principle of the learning pyramid. One of the most least effective ways to learn is to receive lectures, like what's happening right now. It's a little bit audio-visual right now, but from a lecture perspective, if you're being lectured to, you'll only retain about 5% of the information. But if you are doing the teaching, that is the most likely, most effective way for you to learn. So having people in your team that you are teaching or training or coaching, have them do the teaching and training. And I guarantee that is the most effective way to have people learn. It is sort of the principle of testing. So, course, lesson, and then a test at the end, like in school and university and tertiary education, the test at the end or the exam or the assignment at the end. That is the psychological technique to cement the learning, is to get someone writing about concepts and teaching the concepts and presenting the concepts. So from a communications perspective, I want you guys to really be thinking about, when we start to identify these risks and we've got to communicate and we've got to embed information and have people digest it so that their behavior changes and the action changes and the controls get implemented and our performance of the business starts to grow, then we want to be starting to consider the concept of the learning pyramid and go through that. No, you're not a day later. It's live. We're live here on LinkedIn right now. So, but yes, you are a day later. So technically, what is it? The 2nd of June for you, I think, over there in the Northern Hemisphere. So welcome. So think about digestible communication, and what helps it to be absorbed. Absorption. I want you to think about absorption. The last thing I obviously want to talk about is priority. What I observed in our organization pre-COVID was I was crazy busy, 4:30 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, absolutely crazy. And I can say that we weren't necessarily doing our prioritization very well. We weren't stopping to think. And I can tell you that through this COVID crisis, I got the opportunity to work solid from home for a couple of weeks without having to, manage parts of the factory and do office moves and all those sorts of things, and get back into the studio to keep doing these broadcasts for you guys. So I want you to consider that prioritization now more than ever with limited resources. The vast majority of organizations, less revenue because the economy has slowed right down. It means there's less resources available. It means that prioritization is more important than ever. And with priority, we've got to think about who. We've really got to focus on getting the key people into the conversation that are responsible for managing parts of the business, to get them involved in this discussion in our management review, if you like, as part of our integrated risk management system. So it's right from the chairman of the board or the CEO down, getting them engaged and saying, hey, what do you think the priorities are? What do you want me to focus on? I want to use this business management system to really support the organization. I'm going to make it really lean. I'm going to cut out some of the bureaucracy. We're just going to focus on the key things. We're going to engage with best practice, and we're going to, Kobe's going to help us to go, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Just focus on the next 12 weeks. We're going to be really lean so that we're not carrying unnecessary burden, and just focus on what's really important. Focusing on the importance for the next 12 weeks. These two things are really important. There's a podcast interview and there's a Talking Business episode on our YouTube channel with Andrew Barrett, good friend of mine. He talks about this concept of business as imagined. Do not write business as imagined. Are you writing, when you're writing policy or you're putting things together or you're doing the risk assessments, ask yourself the question, is this business as imagined, or is it actually going to happen in the next 12 weeks? If it's not going to happen in the next 12 weeks and there's no chance of it, it's absolutely unlikely. In fact, there's absolutely no chance. Forget about it and move on, and just stay very focused on the next 12 weeks. You can run a rolling 12-week review. You can maybe check in on every fortnight or every month. But we're not even running an annual budget for best practice. We're running a budget that runs out to December because there's so many unknowns and it's a constantly moving feast. We're getting more confident to push it out a little bit further. But even now, we haven't done an annual budget. We've done a 6-monthly budget just to get us through Q1 and Q2. So that's what I'm doing to run this organization. We're focusing on where that looks and what it looks like. And then as things start to stabilize and we see some revenue trickle through, we'll do some uptick. We are keeping a wish list of things that we want to do, but we're running a 6-monthly budget right now. There's too many unknowns to say lock it in. But what I will say is that if we do lock it in, appreciate that it's going to be 10 times more effort for the budget this year than it was last year. And that really is the variable here, is how much effort gets put in. And I can tell you that it needs to be 4 to 10 times more effort to achieve all of this than the same time last year. It's going to be harder. So to achieve those stretch goals, to achieve the things the organization wants to achieve, it's more effort. So more effort is either A, more hours, or work smarter. I'm trying to help you guys work smarter. Okay. So I think I've covered pretty much everything I wanted to. Any questions from anyone at this stage? Hey, Sharon, welcome. Glad to have you guys here. So Jose, in your experience, how many companies do actually seriously do a SWOT analysis? Jose, that's a really good question in terms of who actually does a SWOT analysis. I would say that of the 2,500, and it's a bit more than that, companies that are working with us here at Best Practice. So we've got the services we're doing here at Best Practice. So you guys are aware. Let me just quickly open my little notebook. We've been working on. Has everyone got a screenshot of that? Just take a screenshot. We'll come back to this point in the recording. Luke is taking a picture. You got it? Okay, perfect. So a few people have been asking lately, and I'll answer your question, Jose. What is it that we sell? So obviously we're inspired to help companies to improve and to achieve their goals they set for themselves, and we come up with systems and process. But at Best Practice, we're about people, and we're about strategy, and we're about process. So we have a Best Practice talent business. We have Next Practice, our coaching business that is helping businesses to understand how to use tools and implement tools and deploy those tools to achieve what you want to do. And then we've got our certification business, which guides and advises and audits and checks process and the benchmarks of international standards. So recruitment, coaching, and process assessment, if you like. So Jose, to answer your question, of the clients that only use our recruitment business, Best Practice Talent. So if you know anyone who's unemployed, recently become unemployed, get them to reach out to Best Practice Talent. If you are looking to hire people, we have an amazing psychometric testing process where we do assessments. So we do assessments in this part of the business of process and business. And in the talent, Best Practice Talent business, we've got psychometric testing, which is absolutely fantastic. Use that on all of our staff. There's a few people in this audience that have used that tool as well. From an assessment perspective, I would say that of the exclusive companies that are working with Best Practice Talent, about 25% of those companies do a really good quality SWOT analysis because they're not sort of process focused yet, but they're on their journey. I would suggest that the Next Practice clients, I would say that out of all of their clients, every single one of them does a SWOT analysis. Some of them are more mature in their approach than others, but all, Jose, all. And of the clients that get the validation, assessment, and certification services, and ISO services over in Best Practice, I would suggest about 80% of those clients do a good quality SWOT analysis. We've been campaigning that for the last 2 years. So I think, from your question there, your question there, Jose, about that is specifically that, we wonder whether people do it. Because I've been campaigning it and pushing it so hard for 4 or 5 years now, we've got clients that have eventually got round to it and starting to understand it and get better at it. So yes, it's definitely a great tool. Jose, do you use a spreadsheet to monitor the business week by week? How do you know if you're on target? Jose, I specifically use a spreadsheet for the budget, for the financials, but then I look at a dashboard in our accounting software. I look at a set of Google slides. So I've just come out of a meeting with our marketing team where there is, maybe Vanessa, you can comment there in the comments if you're watching, how many slides are there in our Google presentation. So we use a dashboard to monitor that. So the different teams here at Best Practice use different things. Nick uses a dashboard out of a specific software product that the coaching business uses, which is Nick can talk to you about. So if you want to reach out to Nick Fagan about, at a very macro level, managing tasks. And then, of course, we have our CRM, Excello which is a monster machine. It's got tens of thousands of people in it and companies. So I look, as the CEO, I'm looking at about 4 or 5 different dashboards. But what they are, if I just quickly show you, is if you look at my my notebook, is I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 tabs open. I only work in a Google Chrome browser, and then all the different dashboards are sitting there. So I will just quickly bring you up our CRM as an example. I know you can't see this, but it's just to give you an example. And there's a whole bunch of, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 dashboards that I monitor. But that's from my perspective as a CEO here at Best Practice. So if I just go into, say, for example, one of the dashboards, which is going to look the best on the screen for you guys, that's our sales dashboard. That is, Luke's taking pictures. You'll see that on our Instagram later on. But each team has a different area of speciality. So I try and avoid spreadsheets if I can. It depends on how the data entry happens. Sharon, I agree. The whole thing's got to be fluid. Apologize for your username, Puzzle Duck. Tips on recording, presenting SWOT analysis and or results, or just another Word document. Absolutely not another Word document. I would highly recommend running, the paid version of Zoom. You can obviously record. I think even the free version of Zoom you can record. And I would be paying more attention to maybe a couple of really simple videos to give people guidance. But then the more frequent you do it, the more you practice anything, the better you get. And so if you just said, we're not good yet is that key word. You guys have been hearing me saying it a lot lately. Has everyone got a picture of that? So we've got talent, best practice talent, next practice, and best practice certification over here. So if you want to reach out to us, best practice on any of those things. Luke, you want to get a shot of that? That's the group, the bestpractice.biz group. And if you haven't checked it out already, the bestpractice.biz website, Caitlin and Vanessa have been working really hard updating that, and it's getting updated. There's 3 blog articles, 3 helpful business articles per day, really quick to read. 10 minutes of your time every day on the bestpractice.biz blog. I would highly recommend. Alexi is smashing out 3 articles a day. Really good article yesterday on a simple way to build your 5-year strategy. And I know a couple of you read it because I saw your likes on it. So the question was, recording SWOT analysis would be definitely doing a video with some instructions and then practicing. So perfect practice makes perfect. And that's what I was saying, yet. We're not good at this yet. This word yet opens up the growth mindset that Carol Dweck talks about in her book Mindset. Highly recommended reading for anybody in a leadership position where you are coaching people and training people and mentoring people and leading and influencing your business. The book by Carol Dweck, Mindset, is absolutely an essential part of your professional development. Please get yourself a copy and read it. I'll do a review on it. We'll do some more work on it. But yet. I can't do this yet. Not competent yet. Not yet competent. Rather than I can't do this. And even with your kids, if you can just start dropping yet in there. Oh, yeah, I get it. You can't do it yet. Let's figure out how we do it. Let's bit more information, a bit of Google searching, watch some videos, those sorts of things. So, in terms of think about how you learn. You want to figure something out. You want to work out how to cook something. You can go to YouTube and Google a recipe, get a bit of an idea about how to do it, watch someone do it, and then you can go and try it yourself. Maybe read some instructions, try it yourself. Get some guidance, try it yourself. So where you just said, another document, certainly a document helps, but if it's complemented by a video and then some coaching and a safe environment to practice, you're going to be far more successful in giving someone the confidence to keep going. So it's really about perfect practice makes perfect. That's why practice is in our name. It's about, repetitive activity. So we get good improvement. So I hope that helped to answer your question. Can you do me a favor, Luke, and just scroll on the YouTube comments and I'll get to LinkedIn. Sam, hey, Sam, thanks for your comment. I think is Sam's comment, the bottom one. Sorry, there. That's it there. Yeah, okay, that's cool. Got it. Thank you. Carl, your question over there on LinkedIn. With increasing cybersecurity quality risks under current situations and with budgets, resources shrinking to counter attack, what are your recommendations on strategies businesses should adopt? Carl, that is an excellent question. Cybersecurity is, there has been a significant explosion in cybersecurity breaches through the COVID-19 crisis. And absolutely, it is something that is escalating in terms of the topic. The cybersecurity ISO 27001 standard and cybersecurity as a topic is getting the most traffic on our website. So anything about, what is the information security standard, what is information security certification, how to manage cybersecurity, that is definitely a trend in terms of traffic. Our Twitter posts on best practice Twitter or my Twitter get the most engagement on cybersecurity, so it is a hot topic. As a couple of one-on-one principles. The first thing I would recommend for you, Carl, is to consider the hierarchy of control. How can you apply the hierarchy of control to cybersecurity risks and threats? That's a macro principle, but let me give you a couple of tips and tricks and hacks. The very first one is usernames and passwords. By far, the vast majority of breaches and threats from the analysis and research that we've done, and Alexi has coordinated most of that, is human error through poor quality username and passwords. So I think with limited resources and with the situation that you described there, Carl, in your question there on LinkedIn, it's very important to be focusing and teaching your team about the thing that costs nothing, which is to be changing passwords. And I know it's difficult and I struggle with it myself, but getting good quality behavior around password management and protection of usernames is going to get you the furthest in terms of success, because the vast majority of threats and attacks and issues come from poor quality human behavior. For example, starting to think about the second thing that costs you nothing is if your systems allow you to turn on two-factor authentication, turn it on. So if your accounting systems or your email systems or your banking systems or your personal banking, turn that on. Costs you nothing. It costs you nothing. It's an extra step to give you better quality level of security. The third thing that I would suggest is that there are plenty of devices that get attacked that have got no password and no auto lock. Costs you nothing. So it is those very simple things that are just embedded into a bunch of devices that I think are very important, and having systems that auto lock. My notebook, my Apple MacBook Pro that I've got, fingerprint. So this is opened with a fingerprint. And so yes, you can type in a password, but it's fingerprint. And I use that, except for when I've been using sandpaper and I've got no fingerprints. When I'm working on my hobby projects on the weekend and I'm sanding and varnishing, I sand off my fingerprints and that doesn't work. But it's just an example of something that I embrace as a technology. So I think if you can do those couple of simple things, that is going to get you 85% of the way there in terms of protecting the organization. And then you can start thinking about some penetration testing and some of the technological type stuff. But the vast majority of issues come from user error. So Carl, I hope that helped. Is there any further? Alexi. So Alexi's just made the comment there on the YouTube feed. Hackers often exploit a vulnerable person in the organization. Social engineering through phishing is sometimes something to look out for. Keep your staff updated on the best cyber practices. I agree, Alexi. Let me tell you about a story. I've told this story a few times, but I'll tell it again. I was walking through the foyer of our old office building, and our finance manager walked past me. And she said, "I've just transferred the $10,000 that you asked me to transfer for the project." And I said, "What project? What $10,000? And she looked straight at me and she said, "We've been hacked." So what happened was somebody set up a profile on Gmail. They took my headshot off my LinkedIn account. They put it on their Gmail account. They sent a Gmail to our old finance manager. And they tried to speak like I speak in our videos, and then sent her an email and said, "Could you please transfer $10,000 to this project?" it's only coincidental that I had recently been in the United States and they were saying, can you transfer this money? She went to the bank, she transferred the $10,000, but she didn't click the email and look at the source of the email. She just saw in her inbox that it was my photo and it was my name. But clicking for financial transactions, specifically clicking and looking at the email, when you looked at the email, it wasn't my email address. It was just a random Gmail account, but they had put my name and my face on it. So, with those kind of issues, it's about teaching about people to be a little bit more vigilant about random requests like that and saying, look, can any transactions over financial transactions over a particular amount, try and communicate that. With financial, when we are paying suppliers, we have a specific threshold that we will call a supplier and verify their BSB and account number before we do the transaction verbally over the phone to confirm what's on the invoice, because hackers have been hacking financial systems, changing the bank details. So when they automatically send out invoices, then all the payments get made by the customer into the hacker's account. So it is important to, if you're paying suppliers, because the supplier is, well, we never got paid, but that's a difficult argument. Like, who's in the wrong? So, when the customer's not going to pay you twice, so you're going to have to go and try and, so your money's being effectively stolen because your client's paying it into the bank account that your system told them to pay it into. That is where there's a big risk, and I've seen that happen a few times. So, that's my story about, what happened in terms of Tracy. Now, fortunately, the bank had a paper-based process, so they took the money out of our bank account and put it into their bank account. And then 24 hours later, they have a paper form and then they go and they wire transfer the money. So fortunately, the form hadn't been processed and the bank had the money in their account. They hadn't wired it yet. So we were able to get our money back. Fortunately, the bank helped us there in that situation. But from a financial perspective, I have seen, and we are implementing that process here at Best Practice. We call suppliers for large transactions and we verify BSB and account numbers. Particularly if they've been changed. If you've never paid that supplier before and the bank details are foreign, just calling their accounts receivable and saying, hey, I just want to verify BSB and account number. I'm about to pay your invoice. Can you just qualify that for me? And it's done verbally with the person over the phone. It just minimized the risk of paying it to someone else's account. Okay. You're welcome, Carl. No problems. So, I'm conscious of everybody's time. I really appreciate it. We're just about to hit the 50-minute mark. And I just want to let everybody know that I will be live tomorrow, same time tomorrow. We're going to talk more about cybersecurity and ISO 27001. It's a trending topic on our website. I know there's a bunch of you guys there that have got quality systems, safety systems, environment systems. Cybersecurity and ISO 27001 is exploding. It's becoming a purchasing requirement. It's becoming a government contract requirement. It's becoming an infrastructure requirement, that certification. It's the fourth certification from Best Practice. So if you haven't started looking at ISO 27001 yet, please do so. And I'll give you the heads up. But most of the state procurement bodies in both in Australia, in the US, and in the UK are making it mandatory that ISO 27001 accreditation is held by the organisation to be doing the government tendering and the commercial tendering. So I want you guys to be aware of that, and I can talk from a beginner's 101 perspective about what's in that standard, and we'll cover that. They're by far some of the most popular webinars in our playlist. So if you haven't checked out the webinars already, the live stream we do tomorrow will be available by recording right here on the YouTube channel. And we'll also, if the audio is good, we'll put up a podcast as well. So the microphone right here in front of me is this material as a podcast. So great to have you on board if you're listening to the podcast, and also obviously live on LinkedIn and YouTube. I see a couple of people have sent me invitations. So on LinkedIn. So if you're not connected with me on LinkedIn and you're watching on YouTube, please jump across onto LinkedIn. At Kobi Simat is my handle. So search Kobi, K-O-B-I, Simat. There's only one of us on the planet that I'm aware of. Mr. Andrew Smith is texting me. I apologize for this. No problems, Andrew. All good. So thanks very much. So those of you that have got my cell number, if you want to reach out to me, you can do so. But otherwise, the team monitor my LinkedIn messages. We monitor all the messages and all the comments on the YouTube channel. You can ask a question in any of those places. If you want to reach out to us directly, bestpractice.biz is the website. please subscribe to the newsletter. So if you, and the email list where you'll get the notifications of everything that we're doing. So just go to bestpractice.biz, go check that out. I want a massive shout out to the team for everything that they've been doing and the hard work. Look, behind everybody like me, there is an amazing team. Luke is here in the studio. We've figured out the technical issues. We asked the contractors next door to be quiet. They've done a great job here in the factory, but it's the team behind me at Best Practice that's doing all the hard work that helps you have an amazing experience. So if you want to reach out to those, there we go. They're posting in the comments. Vanessa's just dropped the link in the YouTube comments. And if you can drop that in the LinkedIn comments as well, that would be great, Vanessa, so everyone's got the link to tomorrow's live stream. So reach out to the team. Any of these platforms, they can help you. They can get you in contact. If you would like 30 minutes with me, no problems at all. Happy to help you. If you want 30 minutes, just send me a direct message on LinkedIn. Caitlin will find a slot in my diary. Happy to sit on Zoom or on Google Hangouts and have a chat. If you've got any questions whatsoever, please reach out. I don't want you to have a bottleneck where you haven't got information. You just need to run something by me. Please do that. Take advantage of that. I do that for free all day, every day. It helps me. I learn what you guys are concerned about, helps inform the material that we present. It's not just you out there that's struggling with that. There's hundreds of people, and that's something that I've learned. So please do that. So hit me with an invitation on LinkedIn. Do me a favor right now. If you've got the ability to comment, was this presentation useful? Let me know yes or no. And also, while you're commenting, is there anything else that you would like to cover? I think, Vanessa, if you could post the topics for next week. Okay, so Vanessa has just dropped in the comments. She's controlling my profile right now. She's dropped the link to tomorrow's webinar in the LinkedIn comments. If there's anything you want help with, or there's any topics you want me to cover, discussions you want to cover, please do so. We've already got the plan for next week. Vanessa, if you could just comment on both those platforms and let me know what those topics were, because I can't remember right now. For next week's 2 live streams, we've got plenty more coming. Quite exciting announcement. Middle of this month, we can start the office fit out of our new offices for the Best Practice offices in Frenchs Forest in Sydney, Australia. And then a huge announcement about, we've just done a deal to we've just signed up a deal, or in the process of signing up a deal, to have all of our international offices open at the end of COVID-19. So we've done a deal with a shared workplace. So really exciting to be being able to work with you guys globally. If you are watching this from anywhere in the world, please reach out to us. We can still help you. All of our assessments, all of our work has been done on Zoom and Google Hangouts in any time zone where we've been doing amazing work online, doing e-auditings, e-assessments, recruitment. We can help you with recruitment anywhere in the world. We've got access to the whole LinkedIn database. We've got special access to LinkedIn. Very grateful for LinkedIn for letting me run the live platform. And LinkedIn Recruiter is the software that we use there. And that's been absolutely fantastic. And obviously grateful to YouTube for their work that's helped. Okay, hope this has been helpful. Yes, thanks, David, for your comments. Sorry, one more question. Jose, what material or one book would you recommend on this stuff covered today? That's a tough one. Jose, have you purchased a copy of the ebook? Because today specifically, I can't think of one book that I could recommend except for our ebook. Okay, thank you, Vanessa. I see those comments. I'll cover that. Jose, there's probably not one book. Look, assuming you're in a leadership role and you've got to influence people in the organization to get some outcomes, I would recommend a book called The Coaching Habit. That is a book that I'm having our managers read and teach each other at the moment, The Coaching Habit, so you can work harder to get more out of the people around you. Be a great servant to your team. I mean, that's fundamentally, I work for 50 people. I don't have 50 people that work for me. I work for 50 people. And it's my job to ensure that I serve them, give them the tools they need, the information they need, the training they need, and everything that they need to set them up for success. Success comes for our organization when our team is successful. And so that is, probably the one book right now I would recommend would be The Coaching Habit. I do have a couple of books on hand that I was going to talk about, specifically this one, which is Anti-Fragile. I can recommend this, but to answer your question about today, the one thing that covers today is the ebook that is available for purchase on our website. So bestpractice.biz, and you can go and check out, if you click online training, and you will see the book from today, the ebook. It's a How to Build a Management System, I think it's called. It's $100, and that is really deep dive with some worksheets on, okay, there you go. You got the ebook already. That's fantastic. So that's probably the best thing that I could recommend on today's session to go a little bit deeper. If you want to go really deep, there's a couple of great courses available on that Training Academy as well. Okay, so Vanessa has posted the links. Next Wednesday, we've got Michael Haynes. We're talking about business-to-business growth strategy and marketing strategy. That is something I want you guys to all come along. Please tag and shout out to anybody in your organization that's responsible for marketing and business development, because I'm bringing in Michael Haynes. It's our first guest speaker in a long time as our social distancing and restrictions ease a little bit. So I'm bringing Michael Haynes in for a live broadcast next Wednesday. We want to help you guys get more customers. We want to help you guys with a good account strategy for your organization. We want to help you guys grow your businesses. So anyone in your business who is responsible for sales and marketing, specifically if you're business to business, that's tendering, account management, large accounts, multi-billion-dollar projects, all the way down to thousands of dollar projects. Michael Haynes is the guru from his book, Listen, Innovate, Grow. It's an absolutely fantastic book. He's coming in live. He was in this room yesterday with a workshop with our own team. And so he's going to come and talk about all the gold information that he has. And that is what we're talking about next Wednesday. And then next Thursday, we are going to be talking about the winning formula for recruitment and people management from the Best Practice Talent business. So I've got Kelly John Woods and Joe Dixon coming in, who are the business leaders in the Best Practice Talent business. And we are going to be talking about the winning formula for recruitment, the formula that we follow to hire, retain, grow, develop, and groom amazing staff to get stunning results. And they are really, that is going to give you the secret sauce into how we run our business. I'm giving you that all for free. We are producing a guide. I took you through the guides last week. They're on the bestpractice.biz website. Look out for that. It's the winning formula for recruitment. It's going to be it'll eventually be probably 10 to 12 to 15 pages of great material, which is the procedure on recruitment that starts from the executive discussion. It doesn't start with, we need somebody. It starts with, hang on a minute, let's have an executive discussion. Let's look at the business plan. Let's look at what are we looking to for a return on investment. We can start to talk about dollars and package and what are the outcomes you want in an organization. What does the role look like? What is the one number we want that role to manage? Because the wage and salary gets exchanged for performance. What's the number? What's the graph? What's the monitoring and measurement? What's the thing we want to grow? Then we can go to market. Then we can do psychometric testing. Then we must do reference checks. We have to do all these things. We do the reference checks. We do the induction. We do the induction plan. We do the development plan. We do the 90-day plan. Then we move out and we do what is the review at the 5 months? What is 6 months? What's the 12-month plan look like? That is the winning formula for recruitment. And we're going to be going through that next Thursday. Anyone in your organization that's a leader, I want them in that webinar next Thursday. So I want more of your team members joining us to talk about how to grow, maintain, and improve your team members that are around you, particularly now in the COVID-19 crisis, as we're trying to get more out of and do more as ourselves as team members with limited resources. So I want to give you our formula that we use so you can do your recruitment yourself. And you can go about doing that. I'm not going to hide anything. I want you guys to have that. If you struggle to do it yourself, you can reach out to the recruiters in Best Practice Talent. They can take over and do all your recruitment for you. And I would encourage that. And that can be anywhere in the world. We have full access to the whole LinkedIn database with the package that we pay for with LinkedIn. We've got LinkedIn Recruiter. I wouldn't recommend going and getting that because it's quite expensive, but we have it. We have full access. So we can do recruitment anywhere in the world for any role, for any organization, provided you want to use the LinkedIn ecosystem. So that's the only constraint, is that we pull our candidates out of LinkedIn and we can do some deep analysis on the back end of that database. So we will talk about that. We might be able to show you some of the insights into that particular product, but massive reach out to LinkedIn for giving us access and providing that amazing product. I've gone right to the hour by the minute. I appreciate everybody's time. Do me a favor right now and hit that like button lots and lots and lots of times. So if you're on LinkedIn, punch that like button lots and lots. If you're on YouTube, hit that like button and share it. Do me a favor. Do me one massive favor in the comments on LinkedIn. If there's somebody that you want to see this presentation, please tag them in the comments. and just type their name there, tag them in the comments on LinkedIn so they get to see this presentation. And also, if you've got any colleagues or industry partners who are not seeing our material, please shout out to them, share the video with them. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can copy that link and you can email that around your organization. You can tag any of your comments. So I appreciate everybody's time this morning. I guarantee there's going to be a huge amount of value next week, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm doing the 25 push-ups a day challenge right now. Thank you to Daniel Hunter for nominating me. I've had to do 50 push-ups already today just because we stopped up the video. I'm going to go do some more, so we'll knock out 100 push-ups today. So if you haven't done any push-ups today, please go do that. It's to raise awareness for mental health. Exercise and fitness is one of the most underdiagnosed treatments for mental health, anxiety, depression, those sorts of things, particularly now at the end of the COVID-19 crisis. With everybody working from home, you're either going to be a hunk, a chunk, or drunk, according to people in my household. So there's been plenty of alcohol consumption, but there's also been lots of exercise and lots of great eating. So have a think about that. But let's get on. Let's get some exercise happening, get some amazing ingredients in our body. And I will see you out and about because the restrictions are being relaxed. But if I don't, I will definitely see you right here next time on Best Practice TV. Bye for now.